In this podcast, you get a real-life glimpse into a student's transformation. I take you into the actual coaching sessions, week by week, and you can see the student's progress in real time. So without further ado, here is AGL Live.
Alright, hit it up, boss.
Alright, so how's your day been?
Today was pretty good.
Yeah? What did you do today?
I'm actually kind of feeling burnt out today just from yesterday's challenge.
Yesterday's challenge was when you asked for 20 girls.
I had to ask 20 girls, fucking 20 girls for a number.
Uh-huh.
It was so much, and I was doing like solo.
Yeah.
It's just drained the shit out of my life. And today I woke up and I'm like, fuck, I don't want to fucking go out anymore.
Yeah.
I kind of reached that state of ambivalence.
Yeah.
Like, fuck you, Max.
I mean, that's all right, though, actually. Like, if you go through that, then you take a small break. Then you have time to, like, reflect and actually aggregate that in your mind. So it's not a bad
What's amazing is that I still got, like, 4 numbers.
Yeah.
These girls are fucking crazy.
I
just went straight up like, hey, what's up? My name's Jason, and I thought you were cute. What's your number? Let's hang out later. And then they just give out Facebook's numbers. Like,
yeah,
Jesus Christ. What if I'm like ex-murderer?
Yeah, a lot of times it's just enough just to ask.
Yeah.
I mean,
it goes back to that you don't have to do much, you know?
Mm-hmm. I think especially if you ask shamelessly.
Yeah, I did pretty shamelessly.
Yeah. A lot of times people just kind of go with it. It's interesting.
Yeah. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And it's also funny, like when I first asked her, like, she would say no, and then, like, I talk a little bit more, and then, like, let's just hang out later. She'd just, like, give it out after.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting, yeah.
So it was very funny yesterday, just seeing all that.
Yeah. And then did you text these girls later?
I actually didn't.
Okay.
I was like, fuck it. I was like, I don't even want to contact these girls right now.
Yeah. But it doesn't really require that much effort, though. Like, all you have to do is text them your name or whatever. Just be like, hey, what's up?
Yeah. I'll probably do that.
Yeah. The easiest thing is just, like, send their name with an emoji or something. But just do what you want. But it's always good just to, like, throw something out there just to try it out and see what happens.
Yeah.
It's all about experience.
Yeah. Are you at the hostel right now?
What's that?
Are you at the hostel right now?
No, I'm at a co-working space.
What?
A co-working space.
Oh. So
it's like a whiteboard and stuff like that behind me.
Where's that?
It's in downtown Vegas.
Huh. Oh, you like rent out a space or something?
No, it's free. Yeah, I can just come down here and work. So it's owned by like some university. So.
Oh, word.
Yeah. So how's the rest of the week been? Like I looked through the Facebook post.
Yeah, that was like very general. I guess since you left Sunday, it's been a week, right?
Yeah.
Damn. Feels like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, it feels much longer than that.
Yeah, I mean, dude, honestly, it's been really drastic, I'd have to say.
Okay. And what was
just like not giving a fuck and just having fun.
Mm-hmm.
It really, like, I don't know, it just feels so much lighter.
Yeah. That's how it should be. I mean, when it comes to social situations and meeting girls, like, it's not meant to be taken that seriously.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely, like, still, like, try to bust through my, like, emotional anxiety, like, when it comes to, like, escalating and shit.
Yeah.
But, like, if like if I'm at a state where I let go of everything, like it comes in more naturally, like you said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess the way I think about it is it's almost like if you're playing a sport. So, for example, you played soccer. You would compete really hard when you're playing, and you would enjoy it in the moment, but you'd also be going like all out to win.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you lose, it's not really that big of a deal.
Yeah.
You sometimes get upset about it, but then the mentality is like, I'm going to come back, practice more, and then be better the next time. It's not about just like beating yourself up.
Yeah. Also, yeah, this week was like crazy with that work thing, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I kind of actually learned a lot how to like not care about so much, because it was like constantly coming up in my mind every few seconds, because it was just so intense experience. And I kind of learned how to get into this like trance mode where I, like, every time it comes up to my mind, I would just kind of picture it like evaporating out of my head. And then I would just be able to focus again.
Yeah.
And I started doing that when I would get rejected too. Like whenever I get like kind of harsh rejection, like I just kind of picture it like evaporating out of my head. And then I'd be just kind of like not thinking about anything and keep going, you know, just like, yeah. So that kind of visualization helps, I think.
Yeah, it's good to have some way of dealing with like emotionally confrontational situations. Generally, for me, what I usually do is I'll tell myself, okay, it's not a big deal. Like nothing is a big deal. That's like the first part. Then I say number 2 is like find a solution. So just figure it out. And then number 3 is just enact it immediately. So that's the process that I use. But whatever you can do because a lot of times with these emotionally infused situations, then you start reacting in certain ways that you don't really mean or you don't really want to. But then what you have to do is kind of divorce yourself from that emotion and then be able to objectify it a little bit.
Yeah.
Clearly, and then work through it. It's weird. There's always a balance between things. So it's like sometimes you do have to be more empathetic and be more emotional, and other times you just have to be more objective and draw harsher boundaries. But
become a bigger problem in the lab as a general, because like me and this girl has been having a problem, but now like the grad students have been involved in this because of like they've been assigning us jobs, and then like my direct boss, who's a graduate student, like I don't felt it wasn't really okay for other graduate students to like assign us jobs, and it became like a higher level tension now. It's like kind of weird. So there's like a big tension in the lab now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but it's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does it affect your work at all?
Not much.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, there's not too much else you can really do about it at a certain point.
Yeah, I think at this point it's like gotten out of my hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, as long as it's like you've done everything you can and it's not really bothering what you have to do too much.
Yeah.
As long as you can keep doing what you do, then it's fine.
Yeah.
So then you've been pretty much going out like every day, right? This week?
Yeah. Every day.
Okay. And then how has it progressed? Yeah. I suppose what I mean is like in the beginning of the week, what did your typical interaction look like? And then yesterday or the weekend, what was your typical interaction like?
I don't know. I guess that just like became really. I just kind of like catch myself being really shameless, I guess. I just ask like really directly. I just like talk really directly, and like just my tone of voice is really different too.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've been really trying to like not think about anything when I'm like talking with the girls. Like all the gamey shit,
Mhm.
and that works perfectly. I don't know.
Yeah, that's good. I feel like the like we talked about the attraction versus logistical part of it. I
Yeah,
mean, most of the attraction stuff, like you just kind of have to turn your rational mind off and then just
yeah.
be present and just kind of go with it. As far as the logistical part, so I guess we could work on that now. Like that'd be the next step, is thinking about that. And at the same time, you always have to have it in the back of your mind, like even if it doesn't work out, it's totally fine. That's always in the back of your mind. But at the same time, we also have to learn how to become a hard closer, or really going for what you want. Like that's the paradox of the two.
right.
But you've already attained one
Dude,
side of it, and if you experienced it, yeah.
this like tattoo is like the best thing I've ever got.
Yeah. So it's,
I don't know. Every time anything comes up, I can like relate to this.
Mhm.
Now it's like kind of awesome.
yeah, it's a paradox, and then you see both sides of it. It's like a yin and yang.
Yeah, clearly.
And so the
I
light
was
going
actually looking
engaged.
at a lot of videos on duality yesterday.
Mhm.
Do you know Alan Watts?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was looking at a lot of his videos
Okay.
on duality, and it was kind of interesting. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So did you go out during the night on? You said you just went on Friday night, right? And then Saturday,
Thursday, Friday.
Thursday, Friday night.
Yeah.
Okay. What were your longest interactions that you had, or the ones that progressed the furthest in terms of like logistical stuff?
Logistical stuff.
Yeah.
I guess I started talking to these two Mexican girls. They were siblings.
Okay.
And then I started talking to one girl, and we just started like bantering, talking, just having fun. And then it kind of got to the moment, usually like when I like run out of things to say.
Yeah.
So I just like kind of stood there. Like also my friends were in the interaction, so it wasn't like too awkward. But so I kind of ran out of things to say, and then so I just did. I was just like, come here, and then I just like led her to the dance floor.
Mm-hmm.
She was like really confused what I was doing.
Okay.
But then she would just like follow me, and then we started dancing, and then like I was like, all right, now I feel like I have to kiss.
Yeah.
But then I didn't do it immediately as soon as that thought come up.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like hesitated, and it was like a little bit awkward.
Okay. That's good though that you recognize it, because I think I texted as well. I was like, the biggest thing I want you to take away is this feeling of self-awareness, that your intuition knows what to do, and then it pops up. Like in certain moments, you're like, oh shit, I'm supposed to do this. But it's coming from inside. It's not coming from like my voice or like some external influence. It's coming from within you. And getting in touch with that feeling and be able to sync it up with that moment, that's the key to becoming like smooth or present with someone.
That's kind of interesting though. Is it actually from me myself, or like from other influences I've gotten over the years?
It's a little bit of both, but at the same time, in that moment, it's coming from within you, right? It's coming from like this gut feeling. I'm like, where you're like, I'm supposed
agenda it's not like algorithm I'm following.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like you're forcing an agenda upon someone. So in that moment where you recognize that feeling, where it's because like, you're right, where it's like the accumulated experiences and knowledge that you've gained from studying certain things have contributed to that feeling. Yeah. But it's kind of like the book Blink. Have you read Blink by Malcolm Gladwell?
No, I want to read that.
Yeah, so he talks about how these experts in art history, they can oftentimes identify when a statue is fake or whether it's real. I think we talked about this a little bit before, but they do it primarily just from intuition. Like they don't have any reasons, like rational reasons for it. They're like, oh, that's fake. Like, I can just feel it intuitively. Then later they might come up with the reasons, but that intuition is built up through experience and through knowledge of things that they've studied over time.
Yeah, it's like ingrained in your like more like reptilian brain at that point.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So then the key thing is to trust those intuitions and getting in touch with when they pop up and just acting upon them immediately. And when you're in a flow state, that happens automatically.
Yeah.
It's not the flow state that causes it. That is what the flow state is. It's like when they say your thoughts, words, and actions align, that's exactly what it is. It's like you're just acting based on what's internal.
Yeah.
So the first step is self-awareness. The second step is enacting it as quickly as possible, like reducing that reaction time. And if you get out of the way of yourself, where you reduce the anxiety, that reaction time becomes 0. Like it becomes infinitesimally small.
Yeah.
So that's the key thing. But it's good that you recognize it, and definitely take note of those moments. And it's not just with kiss. Yeah.
Okay, keep going. Yeah. Just finish your thoughts.
I was just going to say, like, it's not just with kissing or taking a girl's number or these things that are more measurable in terms of like, because a lot of times we have these landmarks that we think of, but sometimes it's just like, I feel like picking this girl up and running her down the sidewalk or doing something ridiculous. Like you have these random thoughts that run through your mind, but it's actually coming from like inside your gut intuition. And if you start to act from that place, then it'll become like much more present and fun.
Yeah. I guess just to continue the story. So it's like awkward for a few sec, and then I went for the kiss, and then she like pulled back, and like she was just like laughing, like I have a boyfriend.
Yeah.
Okay, we can just dance. Mm-hmm. They were just like dancing more, and then it kind of got awkward again. So I was like, you want to go back?
Yeah.
We went back to the sister.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
Okay, that's good though. Like, do you feel like you could do that again?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
One thing I really fucking noticed this week was I was more like I kind of felt like I was more in like a team with my quote unquote wings than being competitive.
Yeah.
So before I met you, it was like, all right, I got to do this on my own. Like I can't get help from anyone to like get in my state.
Mm-hmm. And
like I would kind of like feel competitive between the wings because like there's only a certain amount of girls, and I feel like there's too many of my friends right now.
Yeah.
So I would feel that, but now I almost like work with them to get out of like anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
Almost. And that could be a crutch because I kind of noticed when I was going out by myself, I would get more retracted.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't really care anymore if it's a crutch.
Yeah.
Because I know that like if I go out by myself, I can like do all these exercises to get out of my head as well.
Yeah.
So I just kind of like had fun. Like honestly, like I would do that like dare game with you. I feel like I'm kind of getting like attached to the game we were doing.
Yeah.
But then it's so fun. Like I just like throw in like my homies to these like sets and like shove your head in between those like couple or like go for instant makeout or shit like that. And dude, they're so fucking pussies, dude. They won't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, fuck, where's Marcus?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because it's not even just a game at a certain point. It just becomes like part of the way you think. It's like, what can I do to entertain myself right now? And that is what self-amusement is. So that's why the dare game helps. It's calling it a game is giving it like some sort of construct so you can make sense of it at the time. But all it is, it's like getting yourself into this playful mindset where you can think about how can I entertain myself and how can I entertain my friends, or how can they join in as well?
Yeah, and
that's really
they had a lot of fun too. But they were like nervous, but like I could tell they were having fun as well.
Because I remember, I think I played it with Daniel, and I went first. But he looked like pretty nervous and a little bit stifled. But as soon as I was like, dare me to do something, he came up with an idea, and you saw his face light up, and he started smiling and laughing as he was telling me what to do. And those are the moments where it's like, now you're actually engaged. Like this is when you're open to a conversation or open to social interaction, is when that smile comes to your face.
Yeah.
So, and it's not like you can always just snap into that state either.
Right.
But if you live from that perspective, and a lot of times, like that's just kind of how I go about my daily life now. It's like when I'm interacting with someone, I'll think of something funny and it just comes out. But it's a whole mindset. It's just like this playful,
Right.
yeah, having a lighter attitude about it.
Yeah.
But it's good also the point that you made about self-judgment, where you're like, you're not as critical about using wings anymore, is super important too.
Yeah.
Because self-judgment causes fatigue, and it's detrimental. What are you going to say?
Yeah, and I just like really had a lot of fun just like helping guys out. So like this guy, he just came to town this week. His name is Kyle. And yeah, he was like, I was like daring him to do stuff, and then there was this two people, like it was like a guy and a girl. So I was like, all right, go talk to him. Like go talk to her and say hi. And he would just like kind of freak out because he was so nervous that she was like the guy. And I'm like, dude, you don't even know if he's her boyfriend. And it's like, but yeah, what if he is? And then so I was like, all right, you want to go in together then?
Yeah.
So we went in together, and then like I started talking to the guy, and he started talking to the girl, and the girl was like really friendly. So they had like a pretty intimate conversation. Like he was like touching her and all. I think like later he asked like what her age was, and she was like, I'm 36. And then he kind of like froze. So I think the girl got offended and left a little. Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, yes, I was like talking to the guy, and then after like the interaction was over, I went up to him and like, dude, so that guy was the girl's coworker's friend.
Yeah.
Like, how would you have ever guessed that? And it was like a really like big revelation for him that everything is just like an assumption you're making.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess the interesting thing is as well, like even if it was that girl's boyfriend,
Yeah, even if it was, yeah.
What's the issue? I mean, why are we afraid to go in there? It doesn't really make too much sense. Because a lot of times, like I'll go in and maybe I'll assume that they're a couple, but they'll be like the friendliest people that I've met all night, and they're just having a blast, just talking and having a conversation. So it doesn't really make too much sense to be afraid unless you're going in like super sexually and intentfully. And maybe that could be a dare. I don't know. But at the same time, there's only so many things that the guy could do.
Right.
Like I guess when we went in there, that was probably the worst case scenario when we went to that bar, and we both like I had that one where I was like dancing in between that guy and the girl, and that guy like shoved me out of the way.
Fucking fish.
I'm like, whatever. I mean, nothing really happened.
That was so funny. You made me go up to that stage and like dance with the girl in between that guy too.
Yeah, exactly.
That was so weird.
That's really like the worst case scenario. I mean, maybe the guy will try to beat you up, but at the same time, there's bouncers there, and I mean, it's just not really.
Even if you get, whatever, dude.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was. I don't know. I just like really like helping out guys now.
That's good too.
Fun giving them value and shit.
Because they are just friends after all. I mean.
Yeah, they're just trying to like get out of their life situation, I guess.
I mean, we're all trying to figure it out. No one really. I mean, some of us have been going out just a longer period of time than others, but at the same time, we're still figuring it out all together.
Yeah,
we don't really know.
Yeah, I was actually watching this video of like mentorship by Julian, and he was like, sometimes he almost feels like a mentor is like too like official of a term. He views mentorship as more like a friend who's like achieved something before you did that you're trying to achieve at that point.
Yeah,
trying to get some advice from it.
Yeah, it's just like they're older. They're in a place that you kind of see yourself heading towards direction.
Yeah. I thought it kind of like well defined like our relationship, you know?
Yeah. And I think a lot of times in RSD that tends to happen where people idolize the instructors. But then if you like work with them closely, or if you get to know them, then you just realize that they're just people who have more life experience.
I think Max really tries to break that down.
Mm-hmm.
Like with Snapchat and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's something else I was going to talk about, but I guess in general, I mean, going back to, I think the end of our breakdown, we talked about the success mentality. And I think this is something that I really want to inculcate with you is having this having this play. I don't know. Having this like play to win mentality. Like, so an example would be like the very last girl we talked to at audio, it was audio. I think so. When I was taking that girl's, it was like the very last. I think she was Persian or something.
It's not the girl we went to beach with.
No, it's the second night.
With audio.
Yeah.
Okay, just keep going.
And then I think we separated, but you talked to her when you went back into the club. And then we were all outside. We were with Sergey.
Oh, yeah.
And there was that girl who had to go back in for her brother or something.
Yeah.
So then I remember, I think you mentioned, you're like, oh, you're probably never going to see that girl again. And I know that's like it's probably just like a subconscious thought coming out. But at the same time, it reflects a certain degree of doubt. And this is going back to the success mentality, where for me, I wasn't even thinking about the possibility that would even happen. Like a lot of times in that situation, what's that?
Possibility of not meeting her?
Exactly, yeah. I'm not even thinking about that counterfactual situation. I'm thinking strictly about like, how can I make this happen? Yeah. And if your attention turns from, is this going to happen, to how can I make this happen? Like I trust myself fully to figure it out. What is the solution? Instead of there exists a solution. Or there, yeah.
Despite the actual slim chance.
Yeah, so instead of like trying to calculate the probabilities, think about like, how can I just make this happen? Even if it's like independent of the 1% chance that's going to happen. Then I think you'll find much more success. And I think this is a success mentality that people who are successful in general have. They just take the shot. Like they just fucking go for it all out and fully commit, and don't even, that thought of doubt doesn't even seep into their mind. So when applied to going forward, I guess what I mean is you want to essentially, so when it comes to like pulling or taking a girl somewhere, you just want to have full faith in yourself that you're going to make it happen somehow. And it's a process. It's not like it's automatically going to happen, but when you're going for it, just go full force into it, like fully commit to it, and don't even allow that doubt to come into your mind. And that's why visualization and affirmations are so powerful, because these things allow you to believe more strongly in yourself and be more convicted. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I've been pretty diligent with the reading affirmations, but visualization, like I just have like, it just takes too long, and I just kind of feel lazy about it sometimes.
Yeah. It's super important though. I was watching, I don't know if you know who Dan Pena is, but he's like he calls himself a high performance coach, but he's basically like the most successful business coach of all time. And he says that he does affirmations several times a day and visualizes. And his visualizations are vivid to the point where he actually goes to the place that he wants to end up at. And then that's how he allows himself to more strongly believe that it's going to happen. So, for example, he used to go to a Rolls-Royce dealer every day and visit the car that he wanted to buy. And then 12 months later, he had it. And then same thing with buying a castle. He used to go visit like multi-million-dollar homes and visited this castle and had this vision for himself that he was going to make it happen. So visualization seems kind of far-fetched at first, but the more detailed you can make it, the closer to reality it's going to become.
What's that guy's name?
Dan Pena.
Pena?
Pena. Pena.
Oh.
Yeah, he's like pretty fucking cold-hearted and harsh. Like he's known for being really brutal. He has a mentorship program as well. But basically, like everyone that goes through his program that he mentors becomes like a multimillionaire and becomes super successful in whatever endeavor that they pursue. But if you do his 8-day course, then in the past, he used to like hit his students. He used to, like some students would, like most commonly they would cry. Some would like pass out or just like crazy shit. But yeah, he basically just like tries to, and he talks about emotions too. It was interesting because when I was listening to it, I'm like, whoa, this is really similar to what I was trying to do. But he does it in his own way.
Yeah.
Where he says there's an emotional bank account and there's your financial bank account. And the emotional bank account is more important than your financial bank account when it comes to becoming rich and wealthy in life. And it's really, it's a combination of the social capital concept, but just also like understanding where your emotional responses come from, like understanding your upbringing and things like that. Like if you can get to the source of that and then be able to program it in a way where you become a successful person, like a success mentality, then you can be successful in any endeavor you choose. So what sorts of thoughts do you have on that idea or questions? Just about the success mentality in general. Like, how do you feel? Do you feel that way, that sometimes you stop yourself from achieving something? That you have doubts about things?
Well, I don't know if this is too relevant, but while I was listening to that, I just kind of thought about my studying linear algebra.
Okay.
I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I need to learn something more practical that could like get me to this. Sometimes I feel like I could be spending my time to learn something else that are like more useful for me right now.
Mm-hmm.
That would get me like a more immediate result in getting a job or like being more knowledgeable when reading academic papers.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm at this point, I'm kind of attached to like learning that right now because I've been doing it. I kind of had that attachment to like wanting to finish it.
Yeah.
So maybe that's like me straying away from like success mentality. Yeah, so that's what I thought.
Okay. That's interesting. So do you
like for example, like right now I have some things I want to study more, like such as like population genetics, like C programming. Those things, if I learn right now, it would like lead me to like more immediate results, such as like maybe I could get a job because population genetics is really popular these days. I could like get more jobs. I could hear a lot, like I could hear back from professors way more, like understand more papers. Also, like with C language, I could become like way better programmer that would like instantly better my like results in workflow and stuff like that. But I feel like when I come home, I feel like I need to do linear algebra.
Okay.
I mean, it's definitely it's not like it's not helpful at all, but maybe there's better things I could be doing than studying that.
So which one do you want to study at the moment? Regardless of whether it's going to help you or not.
Population genetics.
Okay.
And
Yeah, I'd say
Yeah, I almost feel like I kind of feel like that urge to like I just need to let it go and then stop studying it.
mhm. That's totally fine too. I guess the main caution that I have is, don't just study something just because it'll help you get a job or just
Yeah,
because you feel like you have to. But if you really do want to study this different topic, then I'd
yeah,
say just go fully into it.
yeah. Yeah,
There's
maybe I
a,
framed it a little like not how I think. Yeah, I just feel like more inspired. Like I feel like I could be doing more stuff, not just because I'd get a job, but like it would like open so much more door to like understand other stuff.
Mhm.
If I learned those stuff
Yeah, I'd
other
say
than
also like linear algebra will always be there. I mean, you can always go back to it if you're like, well, actually, I don't really want to study population genetics more in depth or C programming.
yeah.
But what was I gonna say? Um, yeah, my thought escaped me just now. But oh yeah, I was just gonna talk. Have you seen like Steve Jobs' commencement address at Stanford?
Oh yeah.
And
It's been a
then
while. I watched it, but I forgot all of it.
yeah, so he talks about how he took a calligraphy class at Reed College that had no application to his life at that time, but he was just interested in it. And then later that became the basis for fonts in Apple computers. Um, that's just like one small micro example of life only really makes sense in the rearview mirror. And
Yeah.
I suppose like I've gone through this as well, where I'm like, what's more useful? Like if I major in mathematics or if I major in economics. But then what it came down to for me was what I just wanted to study. And I found that when I just started taking more philosophy and math courses, I actually found more application in it than I ever did in economics, even though I still use my economics knowledge in certain things. I started just taking the classes that interested me. And what ends up happening is that because you're more interested in it, you're more apt to make analogies across fields. And that's where creativity comes from. So it's interesting because like, let's say you're interested in a very tangential topic, like let's say topology or something.
Yeah.
And then you're studying biology. Topology has no relationship to biology currently. But then let's say you got or maybe it does, but like for the sake of my example, let's say that you studied topology in depth, like abstract set theory.
Yeah.
That doesn't really have any relationship to like population genetics. Well, the thing is, like if you understand the concepts of topology so in depth that you can begin to apply it and cross it over to population genetics in a very revolutionary way. And that's how creative ideas come to transpire. So when it comes to academic pursuits in particular, I'd say just study like the things that interest you the most, because you'll have an easier time crossing those over into different fields later on, even if it doesn't have any immediate use.
Yeah. I've also been like really pondering, like, I definitely want to go to grad school, but I don't really know what I would want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've been recently thinking maybe like studying animal evolution might not be what I want to do. Like I still really want to be theoretical in biology, but like within that, I don't know. Like I don't know if I genuinely want. I don't know what I genuinely want.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I've been doing ecology and evo bio more. There's been that sense of like responsibility that I had to study this for conservation of the world. Because I've gone through that like environmental activism period.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes I would feel like, even if I sometimes felt like lack of interest, I felt like it was like my obligation to do it.
Yeah.
But now I'm realizing, maybe just because I've been meditating so much, maybe it's not something I want to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's really important to get in touch with your core intuitions, like your internal self.
But then I don't know if I don't do that, what I would want to do. And then I was thinking about like, because I've been like involved in game and like people's lifestyle so much, maybe I want to like study within theoretical biology. Like maybe I want to study like behavior. Maybe I like model behavior stuff. But then but then another point is like, if I do that, wouldn't I be just studying that out of the pain I've gone through, like through like relationships and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
So like, what, I guess it goes back to like existential question, like what am I like, and like what do I want to study, like what do I want to do?
Mm-hmm.
And it's been a little bit troubling.
Yeah.
I've talked a lot with my mom too, actually.
Yeah. I think it comes down to that core intuition, like I was talking about. I've gone through the same sort of thing as well, where I'm like, I'm trying to pick a certain specialty to go into for research.
Yeah.
But then I would come up with all these rational arguments or logical arguments to support each one. But then once I ended up just going with my gut intuition, then I just found myself a lot happier. And when it comes to serving others, if you do what you're interested in first, you'll always find a way to apply that thing to become like benevolent or whatever, like to become charitable, to be able to serve others.
Yeah.
So I think there is a certain degree of selfishness to it, where you do have to just kind of figure out what you're interested in first and trust yourself. And then from there, you can branch out into thinking about like careers and ways you can serve others. I mean, I suppose in the back of your mind, it's always good to have some sort of direction. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I think the primary driver that will make you happier in the long run is going with what you want internally.
Yeah.
And I know people are definitely going to contend with me on that point, but it's just the way I've lived my life. And I just find myself like pretty happy in the position I'm in. I would never have predicted the route I've taken to be where I am.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. I
think.
What?
I was just gonna say, I think there's this overall like overarching point of being able to trust yourself when it comes to choosing a path, and then also like when it comes to success. Yeah. Is trusting your instincts and trusting the fact that you have the solution within you.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of like persisting and carrying it out.
Yeah.
What are you going to say?
Yeah, I also kind of decided that like, I don't really want to be like a grad student that like, who just does science. I decided like, I really want to like be more influential and just like think outside of the campus and university.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I'm gonna take like doing business like a little more seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe I want to like, well, I'm gonna start with YouTube right now, but maybe later I could like start a company or like, yeah.
Have you read the book?
I've been just kind of watching a lot of like Elon Musk videos.
Mm-hmm.
And I just like loved how he was like such a dreamer, and then I felt like I want to have like as big of a influence in the world as he does sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I think that sounds absurd.
I think dreams are really, really important and underrated. Like I think that's one thing that we lose as we tend to mature, is that we lose the ability to, or not ability, like we can always do it, but we lose that tendency to dream about things. I think there's two things that we lose as we become older. It's the ability to dream and the ability to laugh. I think people take life too seriously, and they also, they kill their dreams as they grow older. And Dan Pena, like once again, going back to him, he talks about how every single successful person has had a big dream. It's impossible to be successful without a big dream.
Yeah.
Because even if you fall short of that dream, you're still attaining some high level of success.
Yeah.
Which is why like the whole visualization thing is important and the whole affirmation thing is important as well. Because that's the way to actually ingrain it into your subconscious. But so what would you say like if you're a kid again, like what would be your big dream?
I don't know. Just being a evolution scientist for a really long time, I feel like there's something like that I can like harness, that I could touch like the entire world.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's some kind of concept I could harness that could like shock the whole world sometimes. With like the concept of evolution.
Is there like a certain problem that you would like to solve? Like what do you see as the biggest problem in the world today?
People living in scarcity, I think.
Mm-hmm. Scarcity as in resources or mindset?
Huh?
Scarcity as in resources or in mindset?
I think they go hand in hand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just like being really attached to stuff, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, maybe I could like derive some kind of like evolutionary truths to that. I don't know. I'm just like going off some like weird ass directions, but
yeah. And I think you have to allow yourself to do that. I mean,
yeah.
I maybe won't be able to figure it out over this call, but I think it's valuable to take some time and explore those ideas.
Yeah. Actually, it really helped just saying that at this moment.
Yeah. Because these radical thoughts that you think are crazy and ridiculous sometimes are the thoughts that will change the world.
Yeah.
Like that's where creativity comes from, is some absurd thoughts, but that's grounded in some sort of truth and something that you actually believe in.
Yeah. But like when I talk about these things, I get like really like inspired. I get that like feeling of like being really inspired and like really happy.
Yeah.
And I feel like really creative.
Mm-hmm.
But then at the same time, I feel my brain like resisting it because it's like so absurd.
Yeah. I mean, it's just years of conditioning and maturation from people just saying that it's not possible.
Yeah.
And just allowing your mind to free itself from that is really valuable. And same thing in pickup. It's like your mind has been conditioned because of past experiences that pulling is impossible or things like that. It's just not part of your mindset or reality.
Yeah.
But the way to shape it, I think actually like being able to dream about things, like that's an exercise that you can cultivate. That's a skill you can cultivate. And then that tangentially transfers on to like your quote unquote like pickup skills or whatever, just because it'll allow yourself to visualize that happening. So once you free your mind, it's going to free your mind in other respects as well. That's going to cross over.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. So I do think it's actually really valuable to continue the visualization exercise. And the way I used to do it is like right before I went out, I would spend like 15 minutes doing it, just laying down and thinking about it before going out.
Yeah.
It helps me. And then you understand like the whole success thing as well, the success mentality. So I think that's important too.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have other questions as well?
It's not. Yeah, I've been coasting, man. It's been really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
I feel like I'm going the right direction.
Yeah. I think you are too. And then just keep like posting shit. And then, because I think I put this in like the mastermind VSL, but basically I think the three like core things to like allow yourself to progress the fastest is number one, track your progress. Number two, surround yourself with people that have the same mentality that you want to cultivate. And number three is having a mentor. And then right now, I think you have these steps in place. Like as long as you keep tracking your progress, like as long as you keep posting and then being really active in the chat, I think that's super important.
I guess one thing I've been thinking is like the people I surround myself with, like like although I love my RSD friends, like sometimes because they're all like beginners, sometimes I feel like I need to surround myself with people who are more open and not always like soaked in social anxiety sometimes.
Yeah, honestly, that does help a lot.
Yeah, cause, I mean, I love helping them, but like, cause it almost feels like almost just only because I'm the only one like being proactive about stuff. Like when I go out, like sometimes it kind of drags me down too.
Yeah, it's kind of like Ty Lopez where he talks about the law of 33%. Do you know this one?
No.
Okay. He says basically you should spend 33% of your time with people below your skill level or like below your experience level so you can teach them. You want to spend 33% of your time with people who are around your experience level so that you can empathize with them. You guys can go out together. And spend 33% of your time with someone who's 10 years beyond like where you want to end up, basically. Like 10 years in the future.
Yeah.
So that's what that's like his idea on that. And I think the basic premise of it is true. But the challenge is going to be like, where are you going to find people locally that will model like where you want to end up?
Yeah, but it's like almost impossible to find someone who's like pretty good at like pretty open, like pretty loose when we go out, that are not always like about like picking up girls. And yeah.
Or just finding guys that are naturally good with girls.
Yeah, but then I feel like those guys, like, sometimes they like don't really live the lifestyle I want. They just like drink a lot.
Yeah.
So it's like really hard to find, I feel like.
I think that's actually okay though. Like if you get some of those guys as well and mix it in, just because you can take what you want from that lifestyle. You have to be careful to not get sucked into it. But if you're able to divorce yourself from that vacuum where they're trying to like suck you into that crazy lifestyle and doing drugs and drinking alcohol every night, then you start to acquire the qualities that you want. So like when I was promoting, for example, like when I left Immersion and I started promoting, I noticed that suddenly, like in terms of my quote unquote game or skills with talking to women or whatever, it went up a little bit, actually a significant amount. Just because, number one, it provided me with more insight because these guys didn't study pickup. Like they were completely natural. So I got more creative insights. Number two, it was just from their attitude about it. Like they didn't take it too seriously, yet they were going out and getting laid or whatever. And then so I started picking up these habits and mentalities as well. But then for me, it became too much of my identity. So then I got sucked into it. And then I started like pinning too much importance on getting results. And that's when I went through that identity crisis. But I mean, sometimes that is necessary, I think. Like you have to fully immerse yourself into a certain culture and just be careful of like not getting sucked completely into it. It's kind of like being a sociologist as well. It's like you live in a certain culture for 2 years, you start to acquire their customs as well. And then you learn something new about yourself too. As long as you don't completely get caught into that.
Yeah. Got it.
So I guess that's my advice for now. Any last questions?
No, that was good. I think it's just also really helpful to have you just having a third eye on me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then,
because sometimes I feel like I just like think by myself and like I just go up the mountain and like just above and beyond.
yeah.
I don't even know the thoughts are like valid or yeah. I feel like you're like a good reference point I have.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think especially with the group chat too, like these guys, like I said before, I mean, I'm really close with every coach that's in the mastermind, so they're definitely a good resource too. And
Yeah.
that's why I have so many. What's that?
Oh wait, keep finishing your thought.
I was gonna say that's why I have so many guys in there too, because I want that sort of culture as well, where it's like, because you're surrounded by so many guys who are successful in what they do, then you start to develop their mentalities too.
Yeah. Yeah, that I don't know. I was like pretty surprised by how many guys were like suspicious about climate change today.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
At school or?
No, today at the group chat.
Oh, what were we talking about?
Remember we were talking about like science and like
Yeah.
scientific.
Yeah, I remember that part of it. I don't remember the climate change part.
Oh yeah, I guess we were talking before like, yeah, science is not like the ultimate truth. And then I was like, yeah, it's not. But then sometimes I feel like people exploit that part that science is not an absolute truth to like sell some absurd ideas that are like more off from the truth.
Uh-huh.
Such as like climate change denial, creationism, alternative medicine, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
I'm not like appalled by it. I mean, I've had a lot of those conversations.
Yeah.
But it's just really interesting to think that there are a lot of people that think like that and who aren't necessarily like in a like poverty or like in a like boony town.
Yeah. I think, well, it's probably me and Garrett. And for me, my main point isn't
I think
necessarily.
And like Fergal.
Oh, they're saying something about the counter arguments for climate change?
Yeah.
Oh, I have to go back and read it, but I'm not entirely sure. For me, the main point was that that it doesn't necessarily mean. So it's more the methodology of how you come to a truth. So
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of times people just cite science as like, oh, it's backed by science, it must be true. But then at the core tenets of science, it's based out of mathematics primarily. Or it's coming from this experimental side where it's more like the Cartesian scientific method. And in both cases, you can reduce it down to a belief. It's not necessarily like something that's derived from deductive logic. And so that's my primary point. It's like the primary claims or the most elementary claims of science are based out of something that's not even provable. It's like provable. It doesn't mean it's less, it's like inferior to religion. It just means that for me, I kind of see it on equal footing, and it's just a matter of where you're coming from. So
yeah, I guess. And then we started talking about the utilitarianism.
Yeah.
And I kind of lost it from there. But
yeah, so
I guess because like science has more like real world application.
Mm-hmm.
Like as compared to religion.
It depends.
That makes science way more of like a stronger belief I could have.
Yeah, see, that's the misleading part, I think, though, is that because it feels more physical and it feels like it's based out of rationality and numbers, it feels like it's much more under your control. And I think that could be I mean, I'm not going to try to like convert you on this one, but like I think that could be a detrimental mindset overall. I think it's a really pernicious mindset in society to have. because I think people have this dogmatic belief in science where they're not really questioning where these beliefs are coming from. And I really had trouble with this when I was an undergraduate as well, because I strongly believe that everything could be, until I started reading Wittgenstein, which is like the foundation axiom from which all.
Sorry, you're breaking up. Yeah, I'm gonna. Wait.
Is based.
Can you see my hand?
Yeah.
I'm gonna turn off my. I think we're okay.
Okay.
Wait, start from the Wittgenstein.
Okay, so like Wittgenstein. I think we talked about this in the car, but he tried to derive all of truth based out of logic.
Yeah.
And it seemed like pretty compelling, but at the same time, he had to make some basic assumptions of axioms to take. And then he later changed his mind later in his philosophical career. And then for me, another troubling point was when I learned about the axiom of choice. So pretty much all of mathematics can be generalized into topology, because topology doesn't take any assumptions. It just takes sets, and it has elements of the sets. But you do have to assume, and you have to believe that there exists a choice function from a subset of the collection of a collection of sets, some arbitrary collection of sets. So this is, I mean, the mathematical language is irrelevant in this case. But like, basically my point is, you have to take this fundamental axiom as a belief in order to derive math.
Yeah.
Which is sounds kind of ridiculous, but then I realized, okay, how is this any different from any sort of religious belief that we can just kind of take for granted God?
But then from those
scientists.
But I guess from those axioms comes like real world application that like works. Whereas God saying 10 commandment doesn't really tell us about any like real world happenings.
Yeah, so I guess that's a normative claim, right? So the commandments are things that we should live life by. Now, in terms of like descriptive claims, so I had a thought.
Yeah, let's go from like creationism, like God created Earth in one day, like universe like 5 days before that or some shit like that. Like that like no evidence, there's no evidence that really suggests that happened. Whereas start from like, I don't really know the physics behind Big Bang, but like if we like there are like equations that describe how like the universe would have like started or something like that.
Yeah, so
that can all get traced back to like axioms, right? Axioms of like basic math.
Exactly, and that's what I'm saying is that you trace it back to the axioms, and you have to believe in the axioms. Like that's where the belief comes into play. So these axioms are just as like they're not even provable. They're just things that you have to take for granted.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then I can believe that because I can see the evidence of it, like being true. Whereas religion,
physical evidence in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's also a misleading idea, because I think a lot of times we have too much faith in our senses. Like we think that, oh, we see something, it must be true. Like, so it's kind of like the black swan thing as well. I think so this is where it crosses over into like experimental science, where it's like now we're starting to rely on our senses to derive truths. Right. And this is a different way of deriving truth. So formerly we talked about a theoretical approach. Now we're talking about an experimental approach. And in this way, I don't think the inductive approach guarantees any sort of absolute truth whatsoever.
Yeah, but I guess like probabilistically, like, so if something happens 1,000 times if it happens like 9,999,999 out of like 10 billion times. Hello?
You're kind of.
Can you hear me again?
Yeah.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Yeah. Okay, I think, is it working now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. Where was I?
So you're talking about probabilistically. And I
Yeah,
think
so
there's.
if it happens like 9,999,999 times out of like 10 billion times, it's almost probabilistically that's almost 1.
Yeah, exactly. So it's almost a truth, but it's not.
Yeah. So why not just believe it as truth?
Because you can't make that leap. You can't just make that jump.
Well, I guess that's why I say like science is falsifiable, because there's always a chance, right? But in life, it's just like everything's a chance, I feel like.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with that.
Science gives higher chance than religion, like how religion.
I don't believe that part of it. So I think I do believe that everything in the physical world is, you can't just generalize it into certain laws. Like, I think there's no absolutes. I think that's just the nature of how this world, the physical world, is. Everything is temporary. It's always changing.
Yeah.
But I think both science and religion give you certain intuitions and insights into whatever you consider to be the truth. And I think when we use the term truth, it's more about one's unique journey through exploring their own beliefs. So I imagine it as like a mountain. We're all climbing a similar mountain,
right?
But we're taking different paths up the slope. And that journey towards the top of the mountain is your truth. And
so you don't think there's a higher probability of evolution creating life than Adam and Eve?
I think the probability part of it is irrelevant to me. Like, I don't think that really means anything. I think that's kind of a meaningless statement, because once you come to probability, then you could try to like twist numbers, and the nature of reality is like, you can't. So if you start to try to theorize in terms of probabilistic terms, it doesn't really mean too much. Because I think ultimately what matters anyway are the outliers in the probability.
But then we always act according to what the better probability of achieving what we want is.
We always act in according to the probability?
Yeah.
I don't think so. So this relates back to the success mentality, actually. So I think successful people, they're outliers in society because they're not acting based on laws of probability. They're looking at the 0.01% of possibilities. They're the ones that are dreaming big in society. Mm-hmm. They're the ones that are like, fuck it, I don't care about probability. I'm just going to go with my gut intuition or my dream. I'm just going to run with it. And so this is relating back. And I think this is why it actually relates to the mentality we were talking about before, where if you release from the probabilistic mindset. So like for me, I was actually like very entrenched in this idea of probability because I was studying like rational choice theory. Yeah. And that's all about like probability of which decision to take.
Yeah.
Game theory, same sort of thing. But I had a lot of trouble with this because intuitively I thought to myself, well, this isn't how I would always decide. Like sometimes I go against rational thought and probability, and I just go, fuck it. Like I'm just going to take a leap of faith, even though probabilistically and rationally it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And that's why I started to believe, and I guess like I started to place a lot less weight on numbers and probability, and started to trust just more myself, my own intuitions. And I suppose that's what my main point is. It's like, probability can only get you so far. It can get you pretty decently far in life, I suppose, but you're going to have some sort of internal conflict along the way. And I just find that if you just go with the like sometimes improbable solution, but the one that's more in accordance with what you believe in, then that will yield greater return in the long run. When it comes to fulfillment and when it comes to, I don't know, where you want to go in life. I think that's a good place to stop though, because I actually have to go to work pretty soon.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a good talk.
Yeah. It definitely gets you to think about certain things. So
yeah. Are you gonna like record this? I mean, like save it as a
yeah, I'm gonna save it.
Okay. Cool.
All right.
Yeah, I guess I'll see you in like almost less than 2 weeks now.
Yeah. And then we'll do another call next week too.
Okay.
All right.
Cool. Peace.
I'll talk to you later.
All right. Bye.
Bye.